Yes, and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first ODI of the India Australia series in the lead up to the World Cup, and what is potentially the last Friday before the World Cup begins. Next Friday, we most likely will have the warm up games and all of that starting. So, yeah, let's cut to the chase. We've got Nikhil Popat, we've got Gurkirat Singh Gill joining me here to talk about the game today in Mohali, what to look out for. And, yeah, gentlemen, how are we today?
I'm hoping we are not talking about the foodies and what to have in Mohali, just to set the context and break the ice to say, for very very big series in terms of boxes to tick like the Asia Cup. तो देखते हैं how both teams try. There are injury concerns for Australia, so they'll want to rest and rotate. There are a few experiments जो जिनका भी ऐसा लगता है ना, वो बुक में एक साइड लिख दिया, एक साइड नहीं नहीं लिखा, तो वो लेफ्ट साइड अभी तक लिखना बाकी है, तो लेट्स सी हाउ दे गो विद दैट.
Fair, and Nikhil actually makes a good point there. Ki dono sides, if you look at it, they're playing slightly depleted. They will be playing slightly depleted 11s today. Although for India, it's more of a choice, and for Australia, it's more a reflection of how injury ridden they are. So Gurkarat, what do you make of it? Like, despite it not being a full strength 11 for both sides, expect good competition today.
Should be a good one because, like you said, both teams are not playing their first 11s. India probably short of their four members who are from the first 11 squad, and I believe one of the pacers from the first 11 would also be rested. So that makes it 5 players from the first 11 not playing. So there's that. With Australia again, a lot to look forward to in this series, more in terms of combination than the result. They need to figure out who's going to be that number 4 batter. They need to figure out who will they play in their first 11. Will it be Stoinis or will it be Cameron Green? They hope that their death bowling improves and they don't go the distance like they did versus South Africa. And they'd like to see how is Cummings coming back from a break, how is Smith doing after a break. So a lot to look forward to for both sides. But this is probably that series where you are concerned about everything else but the result. You're genuinely concerned about anything and everything else but the result. And I'm glad you did not ask me how am I doing, because you already know. आज बहुत injuries है, कहीं कहीं दर्द हो रहा है.
We'll get to that. We'll get to your injuries. But before that, let's just take Abhas's comment here. So, just like how all of us spoke about, both sides having a fairly different 11, a fairly different squad rather, compared to what the World Cup squad is going to be. Abha says, blood is boiling after watching Ashwin. Not sure if we resonate with that stronger sentiment, but what do you guys make of it? Ashwin coming back into the ODI setup out of nowhere, out of the blue, not part of the Asia Cup setup as well. And then, yep, here we go again. What do you think? Gurkirat, you can go first.
This is team management's DNA. If you look at the last 1.5 year, uh, my prediction sometime around June was that they might just bring Shikhar Dhawan back because एक senior को तो वापस आना है in contention. But it turned out to be Ashwin. And yeah, see, I'm not on board with it because I don't know what are you going to gain in 2 matches, especially on 2 decks where you're not going to play the World Cup, and which are also flatter decks. And it's just adding confusion. And then to me, it didn't really make sense to have Ruturaj in the squad as well. I know they're probably looking him at as a backup opener, but if they actually end up playing him today, it would be really hard to make sense of.
And yeah, sorry, India have won the toss. That's the update from the center, and they've opted to bowl. Expected Mohali has always, favored the chasing side, and India will chase once again. Unfortunately, without the chase master though this time. But yeah, Nikhil, what do you think about the, Ashwin conundrum, so to say? Gurkirat says that this has been the current management's sort of DNA. It's been a part of their DNA. But would you say it's a feature, not a bug, or do you agree with what Gurkirat has to say about it?
See, I just feel it could have been taken care of in a better manner leading up to this. Uh, I know you wanted to give a lot of people a lot of game time, but I just felt India, uh, they probably were caught up between wanting to give T20 games, T20 squads enough games, and then not think too much about the ODIs. Again, you are not going to assume that everybody will be fit, but I think it is something that I hope that they learn from that. If you had people who were in pipeline, you could have sent them to West Indies, you could have sent them to some other places where you were any which ways resting a lot of seniors. So whatever depth charts that you have, that okay, if not these two, then these two, then these two. So in that order, you could have obviously tried them much before. But again, as Paji said, maybe it's the age-old thing of her World Cup में एक wild card. We like that wild card. So इस World Cup का wild card so far feels Ashwin. And again, they are banking on him to come good just out of nowhere. And I understand that they say okay, we trust his mental health, temperament and skills to be able to adapt. But we've heard it from Ashwin as well in the past that it takes time for him also to prepare, even if it's a T20 World Cup or a ODI World Cup or a Test. The demands are different, and I don't think it should be taken for granted in that sense. So, uh, may not need game time, but I feel it will be a bit harsh, and there will be some. I don't know if there is pressure on him, but he'll obviously want to do well.
I mean, good point that. And talking of depth charts, let's have both the squads right up here on our screen so that we can talk a bit in depth about India and Australia squad. So first, let's have a look at the Indian squad, which is yep, there we go. Yeah. So Nikhil, if you could sort of walk through us, I mean, walk through India's first squad for. I mean, oh wow, man, I'm really at loss of words. Probably Delhi's food is still at the tip of my tongue. But yeah,
Don't
let,
don't blame the food. Don't blame the food. It's not the food. But again, I think there are some things that you don't at times get with this with the kind of planning that they do. But maybe they have a lot of conviction in some of the things they are trying, which is fair. And if Gaikwad indeed is in, then it looks like it could be a shootout between Shreyas and Kishan, which I don't think is the best way to go about it. But again, there are some things you can only guess here. It also makes you wonder about the Tilak Verma inclusion. Now, I don't know how people are in this eye test bit, but I just feel you are creating unnecessary questions for yourself and for others by getting him in. You could have simply played the order that you had. While it is a tempting option, I am keen to see whether they stick with him in the World Cup squad if Surya doesn't fire. So, because the bowling picks itself, I don't think there was any doubt in who the bowlers would be. You have Sundar and Ashwin coming in for Aksar as because he's injured. So the bowling picks itself, it's only in the batting that I feel they're probably pushing in terms of I feel you are allowed one punt, which I completely get. That okay, you are taking one risk at one spot, which is slightly lower in in the batting order. Okay, taking two so close to the World Cup, well, you can play bold all you want, but we know how it goes.
Jeez, man, like I'll अगर नहीं
Dagger
होता
right
तो
to
डाल
the
देता
heart over
मुझे
there.
क्यों तोड़ा मतलब मुझे क्यों तोड़ा भाई मैंने क्या किया भाई but it's very weird come to think of it Ishan Kishan first wasn't exactly supposed to be a part of the World Cup setup say a couple of months ago cut to a month later he did well in the West Indies series and people were sort of screaming out loud, at least on social media, that Kishan should be a part of the World Cup squad, as a backup opener. Cut to another 3 weeks later, and now we see Ishan Kishan being a part of the Indian middle order, where he's fighting directly with Shreyas Iyer. Like, I mean, I understand all of us love, a nice slapstick comedy, but this is just getting a bit too much, I feel. Like, what do you think of this, Gurkirat? And we'll also have the Indian, I mean, both the playing 11 soon. But before that, let's just close this out and then we'll go on to that. So, yeah, Gurkirat, what do you make of Ishan Kishan in particular?
See, uh, I think in whatever chances he's got, he's done decently. Uh, I felt that maybe India could have, given like this is, and I'm talking about a year and a half ago from now that India could have given, uh, given someone like Ruturaj the opening spot ahead of him, but he did well. He did decently in whatever chances he got. Middle order, we knew that his lack of strike rotation was going to be a concern, and I'm never a fan of making sweeping statements or sweeping changes on the basis of one innings. That one innings against Pakistan in the group game, made everyone say, "Oh, we should have Kishan in the middle order," and replace him for your tried and tested guys like KL and Shreyas. For me, both for me, it's not a debate. Right now, I've looked at the 11 and I'm not very happy with the fact that Gaikwad's playing. Now you've brought in Ashwin and Sundar for a reason. You want to see who you want to pick if Akshar doesn't get fit. Try and fit both of them in the 11, and might as well open with Kishan, have Gill as his partner, have Shreyas at 3, have Shreyas at 3, KL 4, Sky 5, and then Sundar 6, Jadeja 7, Ashwin 8. Because I don't know how this also helps Gaikwad, because if you just look at Gaikwad's ODI career, he's got one game, then he's out. He's got one game and then he's out. He got that one game versus South Africa in Lucknow, then he was out. Then he got that one game versus West Indies where he was batting at number 4, then he was out. And now he's getting one game again. Now, if he doesn't do well today, what are you going in the next? What are you going to do in the next game? He's not guaranteed of any chances, right? Maybe India feel, oh, now we have to try out Sundar as well. And you had Sundar ahead of Ashwin in Asia Cup. Sundar did not play a part in that game, and he's now replaced by Ashwin. So again, this is something. These are issues and questions and self doubts created out of nothing and out of their own accord. Maybe this team management is very generous towards content sites, that they want to do something that can help creating content and keep our jobs going. Can't complain on that front, but yeah, I mean, logically, these things really don't make sense to me. I really don't know what was the need to bring in Gaikwad in the squad, given you are not going to give him an extended run. These are not even sporadic opportunities. Sporadic opportunities, you could say 2 games, 3 games, one game in gap of months. It doesn't help a player. Really doesn't help the player. And in that process, what you've done is you are completely shattering the confidence of someone like Sanju, who's doing well. You could have easily had Sanju in the squad. He could have batted at number 6, and you could have Sky at 5, or both of them could have switched places, and that would have made far more sense than what is happening right now.
Definitely. And talking about shattering confidence, I don't know if Pranav will like what I say now, but guys, you will shatter our confidence if you don't like it enough. 21 of you watching this, 7 of you who've liked it, please make sure you're liking the stream and make sure you've subscribed to our channel. Robin Kumar goes on to say, hi lads, won't be able to hang around for long about to start work. Just going to leave a like in depth. We'll see the whole thing later. Thank you so much, Robin. This is the kind of dedication we're looking for.
Robin's very regular viewer of our shows. He had taken a break for around 3 months because he had exams, and he's now been back. So must give him a special mention.
Yep. Huge shout out to Robin. Thank you so much. So, guys, yeah, please make sure you're liking the stream. And let's just take Advita's comment. He's surprised that Sundar isn't a part of the 11 today. But yeah, I mean, you guys saw what the Indian 11 was. If we could have that back on the banner. But before that, since we already have the Australian 11 as well, let's just talk about that. Inglis is in place of Alex Carey is in place of Inglis, or is it the other way around? I'm already getting the 11s wrong.
Carey is rested. Carey is rested, so English is playing.
Got it. So what do you make of this? Because Josh Inglis, again, we've seen him really light up the BBL time and time again in the last couple of seasons, especially. He's, in fact, made a lot of noises. I mean, a lot of noises have been made around him being a part of the IPL as well. What do you think of him, Nikhil? Let's start with you. Middle order, he seems like someone who's flexible, who can bat in all at any place in the top 6. Or also offers that wicket-keeping option. Australia has begun, having multi-dimensional players. So yeah, what do you make of Inglis?
No, I think he's a good prospect to have. There are areas that teams will want to see how he goes starting versus spin on decks that may not always be easier to get the attacking shots early. But I feel he's a good option to try, which is why you see him in that spot. I think just like India, Australia do have a lot of middle order options, but it's about getting the combination right as per the deck. The thing that strikes me today is they have more bowling options than India. So for all the talks about wanting the 6th bowling option, I think India have only 5. So we'll get to them later. But the good opportunity here is for the middle order of Smith, Marnus, Green, and Inglis, because Smith is coming back from injury. Marnus just again wild card or concuss subbed himself into the ODI scheme of things, which is crazy how the same player looks so much out of touch or out of sync in this format, and suddenly he gets one chance. You see how hungry he is, and he's able to do well. So even more so in these conditions, because Uh, these should be good batting conditions, and India don't have Kuldeep Yadav. So if Smith and Marnus Labuschagne get together, this is going to be a BGT revisit with. I want to see how Ashwin bowls to both of them, because then there is a lot more contest on hands, and the wicket takers for India in the middle overs, they have been Kuldeep and Shardul, and they have bowled in tandem. Today it could be Jadeja with one of the pacer. Shami hasn't bowled in the middle overs a lot, so I want to see whether they try that as well. That okay, if someday they want to try him, what is the role that you want to give to him? So I think in that case, very crucial game for English and Green also, because Smith and Manas will give you something to work with. So lots of mini battles to look out for.
Oh, definitely. And in terms of batting depth, they've got Sean Abbott coming in at number 10. The guy smashed the century at number 5 in the T20 Blast just over a couple of months ago. So, yeah, that's ridiculous batting depth, to be honest. And a couple of, interesting comments regarding Matthew Short. He's coming in at number 8 today. Neural Hacks with Vasant. He also goes on to say it's funny to see Short in number 8. Do you think are they looking at Short as a serious number 8 option, or they just wanted to probably fill in? They just needed players for the 11 and they decided to go ahead with him over the rest. What do you make?
They
Gurkirat, you can probably go first.
they it's funny that they are playing short to have to elongate their batting. I'm a little surprised. I thought that Hazelwood will play. I understand that in the last series he wasn't in great form, but he's a part of your World Cup squad. He's someone who's been with the side for far too long, and you would want him, to get these games to get back into form. So I'm not really. And again, Matthew Short's not there in the World Cup squad. It's and he's primarily a top three batter. He's primarily a top three batter, and you have options for that anyway. So playing him an eight, unless you want to see that can he do that Maxwell role where he can roll his arm over, I'm not sure what they are looking at. But even if he can bowl well, we saw him in the IPL when he was playing for Punjab. Again, it's a different format, but his struggles against spin were there to be seen for each and every team. So I don't know what Australia gain out of playing Matthew Short at eight. If he was opening, maybe if they were resting Warner, could have still understood it. But this short at eight doesn't really make sense to me. I'd rather have had Hazelwood play, try and get back into some form whatsoever, because he was really plundered for runs in that South Africa series. So yeah, I don't know what's being tried out here. Maybe they want to maximize and see Stoinis bowl a lot more because he was taking the new ball in that series, but his batting is a concern. So really don't know how having shot at it helps.
No, of course, none of us do. In fact, we really want to see how he goes about it because, like Gurkirat said in the IPL, he really struggled against spin. And RA8745 meanwhile goes on to say, keen to see how Kale goes as captain. Also, close eye on Sky after Dravid's comments. But do you see Sky as a potential, long-term middle order option in the ODI format, Nikhil? Like, what do you make of it? Because he's really not been able to crack the ODI format. Something he's confessed, something we've spoken about before as well. India have plenty of other ODI middle order options who've actually done well, who've shown that they have the goods to deliver. But despite that, Sky gets the nod. And let's not talk about Sanju Samson right now. Let's stick to Sky. As much as we love to sort of talk about why, how that's bad and all of that. But either ways, yeah. Talking about Sky, what do you think?
See, I think the thing that entices them is the prospect of what Sky can do. The ceiling, if that is the operative word, of the ceiling that Sky has. That okay, if he gets set, plays 30-40 balls regularly in this format, coming in the 36th, 37th over, you feel he can make that 320 into 380 or 260 into 320. Those additional 40-50 runs that India need, so that's what they look at. And also how I look at it in terms of what they possibly think is he's a bit unpredictable. If you see India's lower order batting, they are kind of predictable in terms of the areas that they go to for their wickets, be it Hardik, be it Jadeja. So with Sky, what you get is you get a bit of unpredictability that he's able to access different parts of the ground. So it will not be as predictable and as easy to bowl with him at the wicket because he has so many options. Again, this could be just my theory, but I feel India's lower order batting is a bit predictable, at least when they want to hit the big shots, because they don't play the scoops. You don't see Jadeja Hardik doing that very often versus pace, but Sky does that. So I think maybe that is very enticing prospect. And with Sky, I think it's about one or two good knocks back to back that will just free him up from the pressure of first getting a good score. Because once that is done, I think he'll start to realize and get the tempo of this format far better. That okay, now is the time when I have to just bide my time or go it. Because whenever he's batted at six, he still looked more comfortable as opposed to coming in higher up the order and where you feel that okay, he's not sure कि भाई, how early do I go or how much do I hold back. So I think it's just a bit of getting the right uh, I don't know, right entry point for him. And there isn't much time. So in the two games that he plays, even today, if you are chasing, I don't think there will be a lot that he will be able to do when he comes in, because the situation will dictate how he has to play. So uh, as for what happens next World Cup, I mean, after this, I don't know. Uh, there are options. They don't have. They are not options as well. Very keen to see how many of these stay for him to be part of the setup.
Excellent point that. And Babirav Apte, first of all, hi. You mentioned that, say hi to me too. So there you go. And he says, this is not a series. They just want to see how players turn out and get some good game time. Yes, this is something we spoke about up top. No one's really looking to win the series. It's all about ensuring, everyone's at the best of their abilities in terms of getting runs under the belt, getting wickets under the belt, getting their body to move, getting used to the conditions for Australia. That's also equally important. It's not often that they play in India. Apart from a couple of warm-up games that they'll be playing, this is the only proper game match practice that they'll be getting. So it will be very important for them. But sorry, and Babira Apte also goes on to say, but where will Sky play? There's no place for him in the 11. That's the question. In whose place are you bringing him? So, Gurkeerat, what do you think about that? Because Nikhil did mention post the World Cup, you don't know what will happen. Maybe Sky might strike some form. He might get into the 11, maybe in a different position. But who does he replace then in the 11?
See, he's not a part of the first 11 currently. That's for sure. Maybe they want to look at him in the scenario that they feel that they're not finishing strong. Because how Nikhil was, talking about that the lower order batting is predictable. Their hitting options are predictable. Jadeja's not been in great batting form. Hardik has had one innings and that was good, but again, he's not that Hardik Pandya who could say start going big from the first ball. So maybe if they feel that the batting is lacking firepower to finish, maybe they replace him with one of the all rounders. And if they replace him with, I don't think they will replace him with Hardik, but if say he's replaced with Jadeja, Hardik will have the responsibility to bowl 10 overs in that game. So if they feel that Hardik's bowling is coming along well, and they need that extra batting depth or that batting quality, they might go for him. Because what we also need to realize is that India have not chased a big score in recent times. Maybe that is why they opted to chase today. They've really not, they couldn't finish off 265. Yes, you could argue that that wasn't the full strength Indian 11, but for all practical purposes, you can say that the batting had enough quality that they should have chased down to 265 that day. So that didn't happen. So there is that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, what happens post World Cup is very difficult to say. If India have a good tournament and if they go on to win, we might see a few retirements. If we don't know if players will get dropped or whatever happens. So really very difficult to predict what happens post World Cup. Who gets what spot? Who bats where? I don't know.
Some interesting statements that. But talking about today's surface, Gurkeerat, you mentioned that India probably opted to chase because they want to test themselves. How much of it also had to do with Mohali surface? So, Nikhil, what do you think? Mohali high scoring surface, is that what you expect? What are you expecting in terms of things to look out for, and also the surface itself? Yeah.
I think it's usually been high scoring. The last game here was the Turner special, 350
Yeah.
odd, be getting chased down. So enough, I wouldn't say scarce, but enough insight for you to not take it that okay, this is not going to be a 260 270 chase. The one way to also look at the lack of bowling depth is you'll test everybody. All the bowling options will be tested to their potential if it's a flat batting deck, which is good for the side that you want to see how the likes of Jadeja and Ashwin respond. For a long time, Jadeja has been doing one department well while not always acing the other. But today, if it's a flat deck, both those departments will be tested, and there is a decent mix. There isn't a line of left-handers that Australia have that will stop him in terms of. I feel sometimes he's been very defensive versus left-handers as opposed to looking to take wickets off them. So the opportunity will present itself for Jadeja to have a good run, and it is very critical that he continues to take wickets. And in the chase, I expect some movement early because that's what we've seen in Mohali at times in some of the IPL games. That if it is very hot, which I think it is already, uh, you see some dew coming in later, but before that dew comes in during the twilight period, there is still some movement early on. So I'm sure Cummins and Sean Abbott will be waiting to exploit that, and which is a good test for India that it should get better to bat on, but it will not be as easy as it may sound. So hopefully, most of the boxes get ticked in that regard.
I'm not sure of the movement bit because of the timing at which the match is beginning. If this game was beginning at
Yeah,
2:30,
possible.
yeah, but 1:30 you'd expect the innings to be get over by 5:15, and the second innings to
Uh,
start by 5:45 6. So at that point, but if this was a game, which was beginning at 2:30, we could have been sure of the early movement. So maybe who knows, that movement might come post the 10 over mark.
Post the
It
10, possible.
can't be really sure. But yeah, this I actually, me and Akshay before the show were discussing the match timings. I don't remember the last time a ODI day night game started at 1:30. It's either 2:30. 1:30 is at least half an hour early by what the standards have been.
Yeah,
Fair.
definitely. And also talking about, Australia, their bowling and all of that. I mean, not talking about it, rather just segueing it from there. RA8745, he's gone on to say that, Stoinis, he badly needs some runs. We had a stat that went out on our social media handles, platforms, which was with Stoinis has not gone above, he's not scored more than 20 in the last 12 innings, 12 or so innings, which is unfortunately very, very, very. I mean, it's almost desperate times for call for desperate measures in terms of Australia and how they look at it, because Stoinis not hitting good form before the World Cup could probably even spell doom for him. Do you see him also potentially getting the axe or facing the axe come the World Cup, Nikhil? Given how what sort of a rut he's been in.
Well, I think this is the venue that he'll like. He's done well at this venue, so he'll hope that his all-round abilities come into full. And also, see with Stoinis, I don't think it's as straightforward because I think again it's a personal opinion, but I think he still offers you more than what Green could in terms of both the new ball bowling that he offers and also the finishing skills that. See, the thing is with Stoinis, you have to really get the entry point right. It has to be in a way that you are setting it up because see, whenever he's played for Melbourne Stars, whenever he's had time, he's exploded like only very few can, and that is probably the best case scenario with Stoin. So hopefully that's how they use him as well. Just give him a bit more time than just asking him to come in and hit from ball one. Something we discussed in the MNL that what is going to be Australia's approach? Are they continuing to go gung ho with the bat because now they have Smith and Marnus, so you have two accelerating anchors potentially there. So very keen to see how the others approach because that would also decide how much they want the all-rounders, how much batting depth they want. Because as I said, they have award batting at that low, so they definitely have people who can do the job. But uh, it's about how they get the pace right in different conditions because not all of them are going to be able to do it versus spin bowling on decks that are holding up. So I think that's where I won't say it's a shootout, but very keen to see how the all-rounders shape up in Green, Stoinis, and Maxwell when he comes back.
Definitely, and not just the all-rounders. Even if you look at that top order, up until the South Africa series, I remember George Bailey in one of these press conferences before the South Africa series began. He'd spoken about David Warner potentially playing at number
Number
four
four.
for them in the World Cup, and then he goes on to have a fantastic ODI series against South Africa.
Mhm.
And cut to the India series, he's already opening for them. Travis Head is injured, so it makes it's a no brainer that he will
I
open
think
for
it
them.
it just worked out, right? That Marnus
Exactly.
got back in the South Africa series, so then suddenly they feel okay, फिर Warner को move करने का जरूरत नहीं है, and Head also gets injured. So it's just
Exactly. But yeah, just
This is
going, just to finish that thought. Should Head be fit in the next week or so? Who do you think then comes in? Like, I mean, sorry, who do you think then goes out? Who does Head replace, and would Head and Warner continue open just like the South Africa series, or do you see pan out differently? Gurkirat, you can go first.
I don't think it's going to be a possibility because the best case scenario is that he gets fit for the second half of the tournament, and see by that time if Australia have the opening combination fit and firing, the it, it's going to be very difficult for them to change it, and most likely Marsh is going to open along with Warner. So if that keeps working out, I don't think that they'll now want to change it, and I also feel that in all likelihood it is possible that they'll probably name the replacement because see it's just a 15 member squad. If this was an 18-member squad, maybe it would have been easier to carry a player who's carrying an injury and then you can replace them. But if it's a 15-member squad, you don't want to be a player short for the first half of the tournament. So I think in all likelihood they will name a replacement, and that replacement is going to be Marnus, who could actually help them plug that gap at number 4, and work allow them a better combination, because they tried Warner at 4 in that Chennai ODI that happened, was in that last series that they were here, and it, that move made sense to me to some extent, because Warner has had experience of playing in India a lot and he's been good versus spin, but he's still not the same batter that he was earlier. So not sure how effective he's going to be in that regard if he takes up that number 4 role. So I don't think that Australia will have to reach a point where they will really have to figure out, okay, who goes out if Head comes in, because I feel Head will not be fit in time, uh, given the state of his injury.
All right, if that's what you say, because I would really like to see them have that problem of plenty, because their approach in the South Africa series of go big or go home was just fantastic to see in a format that in a format like the 50 over one, where all of us are like, "Bhai, bas kar do yaar, mat ye khelna band kar do, T20 khelo, Test khelo, ye mat karo." It was refreshing to see them just go all out. But yeah, let's just take Raja Human's comment here. He says, top 1 to 6 batters, not bowling, but 7 to 11 bowlers should all be all rounders. What ethics is this? Look at Sachin, Kanish, Jasurya, Dilshan, Makram, Wood. Oh, wow, that's a fairly elite list. And look at Indian batters posting Instagram ads. I mean, that's actually a fair point. And this is something even I've spoken about, at least not online. I mean, if not online, then definitely off air, where we expect the likes of Shardul Thakur, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja to win us matches. Of course, they all need to add value with the bat, no doubt. But I remember during the Bangladesh game when Shardul got out, people were shouting at him, "You high out ho gaya, nahi to match jeet jate." भाई मैच इसकी वजह से नहीं हारे. We Why do you think is this the case, Nikhil? Where we expect our bowlers to add more batting value compared to the rest of the other teams, but never really call out our batters not bowling enough compared to these other teams again.
Said him sometimes we just look at it's like a thing that KR he has that toy, why don't I have that toy with me? I think it's just that obsession that you don't realize that every team is built differently and you can't really just emulate their plan of action or line of thought. It is not going to be possible to have see they don't have a Kuldeep Yadav for a reason. They didn't have Ashwin, they don't have Che. So you have to just respect what you have and then make do with what you have, because I think if you see a lot of comments that you also get for Shardul Thakur, that you people just dismiss him. Okay, but how do you dismiss a guy who's taking wickets for you so many in the middle overs? You don't have anybody else doing it. So I think it's just a bit like you always want to compare with the best and feel that okay, I want to have what they have, but that's not how your system works. And even when you had people who could bowl, the game was different. There were two balls. There are so many factors. The ball was softer. You were able to. The field was different. Restrictions were different. So you have to move with time. And I think most of the times we still stick with perception of people. We have a certain perception of people in mind, and we will always go by that. That ये शार्दुल को खिलाने से अच्छा तो स्पेशलिस्ट बॉलर खिला लो. But then suddenly when that doesn't happen, अरे यार एक ऐसा बंदा होता जो थोड़ा bad, but then you had that guy, but you did not want to have it. So sometimes we want the best of both worlds, but it is not going to be possible. So let's take the England squad example. You think they have more frontline bowlers? No, they have Topley and Wood and Adil Rashid. Rest all are plenty of all rounders. So you have Willie, Vogue, Sam Curran. All of them will not do well. They may not find the Chinese surface helpful if they play in those conditions. So what you need eventually is a variety of people, and that variety has to be able to complement each other well so that they can be used together in different phases. At this point of time, we have Siraj in form, Shardul taking wickets, Kuldeep among the highest wicket taker. इससे ज्यादा बेटर तुमको कॉम्बिनेशन और बोलिंग डेप्थ अभी तो नहीं मिलेगा जो फॉर्म में भी हो. तो अगर eventually then you are looking to play on a video game if you want everybody to be at their best all the time.
And Hardik's become a better bowler.
And you have wicket.
And we have
Hardik's
a
become
wicket.
a better bowler.
Fair, and that's probably our cue to end the stream. We said it would be a match preview. Unfortunately, wicket be ja chuka hai. Let's not make it a watch along and continue. So yeah, we'll see you guys in a couple of hours, or probably more than a couple of hours. We're being too optimistic here, thinking that the mid innings review will happen in a couple of hours. But yeah, see you guys soon. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. And yeah, let's hope India does well, for Indian fans' sake, and let's hope Australia does well for the Australian fans' sake. मैं इस तरफ भी नहीं हूँ, इस तरफ भी नहीं हूँ, पहले से ही बता के रखा है.
We know.
अरे भाई, ठीक है. And that's it from all of us. See you guys.
You can be like Amir Khan from Three Idiots. मैं क्रिकेट की तरफ से.
अरे क्रिकेट की तरफ से नहीं है, बाद में बात करेंगे उसके बारे में.
ठीक है, चलो. Alright, that's it guys from all of us. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed to us. See you guys soon. That's it from us.